Hey guys, Micah here. Today we're going to discuss how to actually find the cure to the problem we diagnosed in the last video. If you haven't watched that video, stop this one right now and go watch the other video. It talks about the ways that we're messing up in regards to time management, and now that we understand the issue, we can then jump into the solution. So what I want to do is look at 3 strategies you can utilize to train your brain to spend your time more efficiently in every single speech. The first strategy that you can utilize is something I call the 3 R's. It stands for rebut, record, redo. Pretty self-explanatory. What you're going to do is you're going to give a rebuttal speech. And then you're going to record that rebuttal speech and watch the recording of your speech. And after watching the recording, you're going to redo the speech. Now, the reason we choose a rebuttal is because your constructive speeches are typically going to have better time management, especially if, it's an actual case that you wrote, like in Lincoln Douglas. It's scripted. Hopefully you're not wasting too much time in a speech you wrote. In parliamentary debate, your constructives can have poor time management, of course, but even then, the rebuttals are going to be where we see the worst time management. So that's the best way to do this drill, is to make a rebuttal, record it, watch the recording, redo the rebuttal. Now, how can you make that rebuttal? Well, you can take a flow from a past round and just re-give a rebuttal that you have on the flow, or maybe this is a great time to practice arguments against your own case. Take your Lincoln Douglas case and pretend that you are your opponent. And then after looking at the case, give yourself like 2 minutes of prep time to prepare a speech that responds to that case. And then for your rebuttal, just make a rebuttal that responds to their speech that was responding to your case. It doesn't really matter. However you want to make a rebuttal, just do that. And then after you give your rebuttal, it was being recorded, watch the recording. And as you watch the recording, you need to do this. Take note of every single instance in which you wasted time. You might think, I have great time management, Micah. I don't really need to do this drill. Watch the video. It'll be humbling. People don't realize how much time they waste. I want you to be really brutal with yourself while you're taking these notes and watching the recording. Don't think, well, maybe I didn't really need to say that, but I kind of liked that sentence or anything like that. Don't give yourself that ground. Anytime you said something you did not need to say, take note of it. Now, after you do this, you're going to redo your speech. And once you redo your speech, the goal is to finish in significantly less time, or to finish in the same amount of time, but notice that you're not repeating yourself, or maybe you're cutting down on that fluff we talked about. If you want to record your second speech, the redo, and then watch it to make sure that you improved, that's a great idea to do also. The goal here is to notice, things like how many times did you say the exact same thing in different ways? How many times did you use a filler? How many times did you get the point across but just keep on talking? Notice that in your first speech, adjust it in the next speech. This trains yourself to do 2 things. It trains you to notice what to avoid in regards to wasting time, because you see yourself do it in the recording and you take note of it. And it trains you to speak more efficiently by redoing the speech, by intentionally trying to be as efficient as you can with your time. Now, the second strategy you can utilize to manage your time better is what I call the 45-30-15 drill. Again, extremely self-explanatory. What you're going to do is you're going to find an argument. Maybe an argument from a round you had, a practice round, a real round, doesn't matter. And then you're just going to keep giving that argument over and over again. It's often good to choose what you believe was the most confusing argument in the round. I would do this a few times. I would have a practice round with somebody, and then I would say, I think this was probably my most confusing argument, the hardest argument to explain, etc. And then I would take this argument and do the drill with it. What you're going to do is you're going to give the argument in 45 seconds. And then you're going to give the argument in 30 seconds. And then you're going to give the argument in 15 seconds. And honestly, if you want to keep challenging yourself, go even to 10 seconds. The goal is not to finish at 10 seconds with giving the argument exactly how you would give it in a round. Obviously, if this is an important argument that needs explanation, you're probably not going to be giving it in 10 seconds in a real debate round. That's not the goal. The goal is not to train you exactly how you're going to do it in a round. The goal is to make you capable of giving the argument in very little time so that when you're in the round and you have more time, that time is going to feel like absolute freedom. Instead of rushing to give your argument in 45 seconds, you're going to be frolicking giving your argument in 45 seconds because you were previously able to give that argument in 15 seconds. The 15-second version is going to be missing some stuff, okay? But the goal is just to get there, to learn what it feels like to cut things when you're giving an argument so that you only say exactly what you have to. This is going to reduce repetition. It's going to train your brain to reduce that unnecessary fluff, etc. The third strategy you should use to manage your time better is another drill that I call the overpowered opponent. This one's pretty fun. It's also the most brutal of the 3 drills we've talked about so far. What you're going to do is you're going to have a practice round, an LD round, or maybe just a limited prep round like Parley or some other format, and you're going to let your opponent have 3 extra minutes in every single rebuttal. If you're doing an LD practice round, this is going to make your 2AR, if you're the affirmative, especially tough. That 3-minute rebuttal to end the round is already horrible. If your opponent has 3 extra minutes in the speech beforehand, then it's just going to be a living nightmare. And that's good. That's what you want here. It also doesn't have to be an LD round because the goal is just to get good at time management. So maybe you just grab a resolution from ChatGPT or some other online resolution generator. You give you and your opponent 5 minutes of prep, and then you get like a 2-minute speech and your opponent gets an 8-minute speech. And then you get another 2-minute speech and your opponent gets an 8-minute speech. And then you get a 1-minute speech. Something like that. You can make it extremely brutal. Again, a 1-minute speech to end the debate round when your opponent just had 8 minutes to talk is going to be insane. You're going to have to truly learn what content absolutely needs to be covered and what content has to be cut if you're going to get to what you need to get to. It's going to train your brain to learn what you have to say and to say only what you have to say and to say it in the quickest way possible. Now, again, this is not how you would actually sound in a real round. That 1-minute rebuttal at the end is probably going to be a fairly bad speech. And even if it's decent for a 1-minute speech, it's not going to be what you want in a real debate round. You're overcorrecting with this drill. Think about, I don't know how familiar you might be with baseball, but when a batter is practicing before they go up to the plate, they put a weight on their bat, and they practice swinging with that weight on the bat. And obviously, when they go up to the plate, they're not going to go with a weight on their bat, but what they're doing is making it feel easier when they do actually go up to the plate, because swinging with a weight is rather difficult. And then when they take that weight off and step up to the plate, when they swing, it feels so much easier. The same is happening here. Your goal is not to get in your debate round and swing with the weight on, so to speak. Your goal is to have an easy debate because you practice debating in an extremely difficult manner. You practice giving a 1-minute rebuttal to end a round after your opponent had 8 minutes. And so when you have that 3 minutes at the end of your LD round, it's no longer going to feel horrible. It's going to feel like heavenly because you have 3 times more you can talk about. So these are 3 basic strategies that you can utilize to get better with time management. And guys, this is absolutely fundamental stuff. It does not matter if you are novice. It does not matter if you are extremely competitive, a national champion, whatnot. You can be better at time management. You always can be. And the more you do these drills, the better you will get with time management. And these are things people don't like to do. These are extremely uncomfortable drills. Cutting things that you don't want to cut is uncomfortable. Talking for only 1 minute after an 8-minute speech from your opponent, it's going to be uncomfortable. You're not going to enjoy this, especially the first time you do it. Watching a recording of yourself, guys, that's miserable sometimes. But you got to get over it. If you want to be successful with time management, you're going to have to go through this uncomfortability, and I promise you, you will reap the dividends if you put in this work.